Good morning, everyone. In last session, we developed first form-based application, first form app development. Right. In today's session, we are going to talk about. In today's session, we are going to talk about Spring MVC form tag library. Spring MVC form tag library. Right. So Spring MVC module provided form tag library. Spring MVC module provided form tag library. Spring MVC module provided form tag library. Using form tag library, we can develop forms. Using Spring MVC form tag library, we can develop forms easily. Right. So in every web application, forms will be available. For every web application, forms are very, very important. Those forms are used to capture the data from the user. We can develop the forms by using HTML tags also. But to simplify that forms development, Spring MVC provided form tag library for us. Sir, how many ways we can develop form in the Spring web application? You can develop the form by using HTML. You can develop the form by using Spring form tag library. So which one is recommended? Using MVC form tag library is recommended. Using MVC form tag library is recommended to develop the forms because forms development is simplified in this MVC form tag library. MVC form tags. MVC form tag library tags. Spring MVC form tag library tags. Spring MVC form tag library tags. What are the tags available in MVC form tag library? Right. Now, first, in order to use MVC form tag library, we need to include taglib directive. In order to use MVC form tags in view file, we should include that using taglib directive. How we are going to specify that taglib directive? In the view file. So let us see here. When we develop a web application using tag library, how we are going to specify that? Now, register.jsp. Here I used form tag library. In order to use, it is normal form, not Spring MVC form. Yeah, this is Spring MVC form, I think. So let me verify. Student registration.jsp. Good. Yeah, this is form tag library. So you need to add this taglib directive. We need to add this taglib directive in order to use tags in the JSP file. If you want to use in the JSP or if you want to use in Spring tags in a presentation file, we need to use this taglib directive. So how to use Spring MVC form tags? In order to use Spring MVC form tags, we need to include this taglib directive. Then what are the tags available? Form: form to represent form in presentation file. Next one, form: input. To represent input text field. For username, for email, for date of birth, we need a text field, right? To display the text field in our form, we will use form: input tag. Next one, form: password. To represent password field. To display password field. This is used to display form, to display form, to display input text field, to display input text field, form colon password, to display password field, to display password field. Next one, form colon radio button, form colon radio button, to display one radio button, to display one radio button, to display one radio button we will use form colon radio button tag. Next one, form colon radio buttons, to display multiple radio buttons, to display multiple radio buttons. Next one, form colon checkbox, to display one checkbox, to display one checkbox. Now similarly we have form colon checkboxes, we have form colon checkboxes, to display multiple checkboxes, to display multiple checkboxes. Form colon select, form colon select, to display drop down, to display drop down. Next one, form colon option, to display one option in drop down. Next one, form colon options, to display multiple options in drop down, to display multiple options in drop down we have options tag. Next one, form colon hidden, to add hidden variable in form. To add hidden variable in the form, we will go for these tags provided by Spring MVC form tag library. So what is this form tag library? Form tag library contains several tags to simplify our form development. Spring MVC module provided form tag library. Using Spring MVC form tag library tags, we can develop forms easily, right? How to work with that form tag library? In order to work with form tag library, we need to use that taglib directive in the presentation file. In whichever the presentation file you want to use these form tags, there you need to use this tag library. Once you use this tag library using taglib URI, the location where this taglib library is available, and what is the prefix. Prefix we can give anything. Here I am giving the prefix as a form. This is the recommended naming convention for Spring MVC form tag library. Guys, look at this directive, JSP directives. I hope you remember. JSP directive. JSP directive. Guys, JSP directive, I hope you remember that, which is used to add the form tag library, taglib directive, URI, prefix to attributes. Once you add this taglib directive, using this prefix, we can access all the tags available in this form tag library. What are those? Form colon form, to display form in presentation file. Form colon input, to display input text field. Form colon password, to display password field. That means password should not be visible while typing. It should display as a dot. For that we have form colon password. Form colon password. For gender, I want to display a radio button. If you want to display one radio button tag. If you want to display multiple radio buttons tag is available. If you want to display one checkbox tag is available. If you want to display multiple checkboxes tag is available. I want to display a drop down, so to select a country, then form colon select tag will display drop down for us. Inside the drop down, we need to add the options. If you want to add one option, form colon option tag is available. If you want to add multiple options, multiple country names I want to display in the drop down, then I can go for form colon options. If I want to add hidden variable, I don't want to display the data in the page, but I want to send the data to server when the form is submitted. For that, we will go for hidden tag, form colon hidden to add hidden variable in the form. When you submit the form, hidden variable will be sent to the server. Hidden variables will not be displayed on the browser, will not be displayed to the users, but the data will go to the server when the form is submitted. If you want to send any secret data, then we can add that in the hidden variable. For the hidden variable, we have form colon hidden tag. We have form colon hidden tag. Are you guys able to understand what are the tags available in MVC form tag library? Are you guys able to understand what are the tags available in MVC tag library? Guys, come on, please respond. Good, good. Now, with this form tag library, now I want to develop one simple form. I want to develop one simple form. Let me take my requirement. Let me take my requirement. I want to develop a form with 3 simple fields. Just text fields I am going to take for time being. First one, customer name, customer name, customer email, customer email, customer phone number. Customer name, customer email, customer phone number. First simple form to understand the form tag library. Once we are able to develop this form by using tag library, then I will take a complex form with a drop down radio button, checkboxes and all. Good. This is simple form that I am going to develop now. Submit button I am taking. Right. Customer details. Customer details. Customer details. Now, whenever this form is submitted, I want to display whatever the detail that you enter. Customer name, Andy. Customer email, Andy.p@gmail.com. Customer phone number, some number I'm going to take. Customer number I'm going to display. Here I will give go back. I want to go back to previous screen here. So this is the information that I want to display in the form. Same form we developed earlier, but without using form tag library, we developed it. Now I want to develop this by using form tag library. I want to develop this by using form tag library. This is our requirement. Guys, look at the requirement now. Look at the requirement. We want to develop a simple form. My form should contain 3 text fields: name, email, phone number. When we click on the submit button, that should be displayed in another JSP. Here I will give the file name also for you. One is index.jsp, one is data.jsp. One is index.jsp, another one is data.jsp. Currently we are using JSP for presentation. In future I will teach you time leaf also. How to work with the time leaf as a presentation technology. Good. Currently we are learning JSP. In future we will use Angular for the presentation. Are you able to follow me? 3 things I am going to teach: JSP, time leaf, and one example with Angular also we are going to discuss. Are you guys able to follow me? Are you guys able to follow me? Good. Can we start the development of the form now? Can we start this form development? Yeah. Good. Why we need to go with form tag library? Someone asked me a question. I will tell you, sir. It is easy to simplify. I will discuss. I will tell you. In the second example, I will tell you what is the advantage of going for form tag library. In the first example, you don't understand. In the second example, I will tell you what is the reason behind this form tag library. We can do this with normal forms also, but if I have a drop down, dynamically I want to populate the values in the drop down. In the HTML, can you load the dynamic data? We can't do that. But in the form tag library, we can load the data dynamically. That is one of the reasons. So we'll discuss in a second example. You will get more clarity with the second example. Are you able to follow me? Nikhil? Good. Now let's start creating one project. File, new project, Spring Starter. Spring Starter project. It is going to be our 23rd application, Spring MVC Form Tag Library app. Spring MVC Form Tag Library app. Click on Next. Web dependency, DevTools. Web dependency, DevTools I am using, and Lombok also I am using. Web, DevTools, Lombok. Click on Next. Click on Finish. Next and Finish. Good. Application is creating. We need to add one extra dependency, guys, that is called Tomcat Embed Jasper. We need to add one extra dependency that is called as Tomcat Embed Jasper. Tomcat Embed Jasper. I'm taking that from previous project, Tomcat Embed Jasper. Copy this, add it in our current project, which is 23rd application. 23rd application. After the web starter, I'm adding Tomcat Embed Jasper. Tomcat Embed Jasper. Good. Good. Let me close all other projects. Close unrelated projects. Only this project will be open. Perfect. So with this, our boot application got created. Boot application got created. Inside that main, let me create a web app. I need to check why this web app folder is not coming. Web app folder. Inside that, I'm creating views folder also. Inside that, we created views folder also for the presentation files. So this is our project structure. Look at the structure of the project. Look at the structure of the project. 23rd application we created. Spring MVC Form Tag Library application. Start class is available. Properties file is available. Inside the main web app folder, inside the views folder, there we will create our presentation files. Good. Perfect. Next. Let's start with our coding. First, for our form, I will create a binding class. Form binding class I will create. Three fields are available in the form. So I will create a Projo class with 3 variables to hold the form data. Let me create one domain class, that is form binding class, customer.java. I will take one class with a name called customer. This I will keep inside a package domain. I will keep this inside a package domain. Now, customer class I have taken here. Now, here variables, private string customer name, private string customer email, private long customer phone number. Customer phone number. Phone number I'm taking this time number format, long. Customer name, customer email, customer phone number. To set the data, to get the data, we need setter methods and getter methods. To set the data and get the data, we need setter methods and getter methods. Instead of writing setters and getters on our own, I will use Lombok @data. I will use Lombok using @data. @data annotation I am going to use for it, which will generate setter methods and getter methods for us. Good. Next, once it is ready, now I will go for controller creation. New class. Right guys, we are creating a class as a controller. To represent the class as a controller, we are using @controller annotation. We are using @controller annotation. Now, how many methods are required now? Guys, can you tell me how many methods are required? One method is used to load the form, one method is used to submit the form. One method is used to load the form, one method is used to submit the form. We need to create two methods in the controller. Form loading should be binded to get request, form submission should be binded to post request. So one get request method, one post request method we need to take. Get request method is responsible to load the form, post request method is responsible to handle form submission. Able to follow me? Why I am taking two methods in the controller? Why I am taking two methods in the controller? One method is used to load the form, one method is used to submit the form. Form loading will be binded to get request method, form submission will be binded to post request method. Submission will be binded to post request method. Let me create those methods here guys. Public string load form. Public string load form. It has to return index 5. It has to return index 5. Now, second one, public string handle submit button. Handle submit button. It will return data, data.jsp. So, two methods I am taking in the controller. Two methods I am taking in the controller. One method is responsible to load the form. This method is responsible to handle form submission. Load form method I am binding to get request by using get mapping. By using get mapping. Load form. Load form. Right now. Or else you can give it as a customer. You can give it as a customer. Next one. Here I will bind this to post @post mapping. Here also I will give customer. Can I give same URL pattern for two methods? Is it valid or invalid guys? Check it and let me know. Is it valid URL mapping or is it invalid URL mapping? Is it valid URL mapping or is it invalid URL mapping? Valid. Why? Why it is valid? Can two methods have the same URL pattern? Can two methods have the same URL pattern? Generally, two methods should not have the same URL pattern, but here it is valid. Here it is valid because both methods are binded to two different requests. Both methods are binded to two different requests. One is binded to get request, another one is binded to post request, hence these are valid. Hence these are valid. So here methods are not belongs to same. Methods are not belongs to same. That's why these are valid. Is it clear for all of you? Is it clear for all of you? Good. Now, so what is the logic that we need to take? First here, I am taking model as a parameter. Guys, tell me what is the purpose of model? Guys, tell me what is the purpose of model? What is the purpose of model? Respond quickly. What is the purpose of model? To send the data from controller to UI. To send the data from controller to UI. Now, see here. I will create one customer object. Customer object. Customer object is equal to new customer. New customer. Now, model dot add attribute. Model dot add attribute customer. Model dot add attribute customer and customer object. Model dot add attribute of customer and customer object. Right. Tell me what I am doing in the first method. Tell me what I am doing in the first method. What I am doing in the first method. First method is binded to get request URL pattern, get request method with customer as the URL pattern. Whenever this method is called, it is adding empty customer object to model scope and returning logical view. It is adding empty customer object to model scope and returning logical view. Returning logical view with empty customer object. With empty customer object. With empty customer object. Are you guys able to follow this? Why this empty object we are sending? Most of the people will get confused here. Why I am sending empty object to the view? This empty object is used for form binding. Empty object is used for form binding. I need to tell to Spring MVC, hey Spring MVC, this is the object you need to use to bind the form data. That means that Spring MVC should capture the form data, should store into this object. Should capture the form data, should store into this object. Are you able to follow me? Are you able to follow me? Why I am sending empty object to the UI? It is form backing object or form binding object. When I give this form binding object to the form tag library, it will understand which field data should be stored to which variable. Which field data should be stored to which variable, that will be understood by this form binding object. That will be understood by this form binding object. Now, here I am creating one empty object. I'm creating here empty object. I'm creating here empty object and I am sending to the UI. I'm sending to the UI by using this model scope. Customer object I'm creating, empty object, there is no data. That object I'm storing to model attribute. Then I am returning logical view name. Can I access this object? Can I access this object inside this view? Can I access this object inside this view or not? Come on guys, please respond. Can I access that object in the view or not? Yes, this view is associated with that model. This view file is associated with that model, so we can access that object in that view. Why I am sending empty object to the view? For form binding. For form binding. I'm sending this empty object to the view for form binding. Able to follow me? You people are slow in response. Please be active in the session. You had breakfast and came to the class and sleeping in the class. Why I am sending empty object to the logical view? Why I am returning empty object? Why I am storing empty object in the model? If I send the empty object, form tag library will populate the data to my object. Got it? Good. Now, let us develop this form index. I want to develop this index page with form tag library. I want to develop this index with form tag library. Views, new, JSP. JSP file I'm going to create. How that JSP we are creating? Index.jsp. Good. Now I want to develop a form, guys, using form tag library. So what is the first step to use form tag library? What is the first step to use the form tag library? We need to add the tag lib directive of Spring MVC forms. We need to add the tag lib directive of Spring MVC forms. Now go to here, already page directive is available in the JSP. Already page directive available in our JSP. By default, page directive is coming for our JSP. Now I need to add tag lib directive for this. I need to add tag lib directive for this. How can we add it? Right click, control space 2 times. Hold the control button, press space for 2 times. You will get these options. This is the shortcut. This is the shortcut. Control space space. 2 times if you press, you will get this tag lib directives. Got my point, all of you? What is the shortcut for that? Control space 2 times. You will get the option for tag lib. Here, tag lib directive is there. JSP tag lib directive is there. Now select it. It is displaying already. Spring tags / form. Second one you need to select. Prefix you will write it as a form. Got it? I will tell you how to include this tag lib once again. Guys, concentrate. Control space for 2 times. That is going to give you the option. Select 4th one, JSP 5th one or 6th one, JSP tag lib directive. Enter. Select what is the URL. Form is the URL. Prefix form. Control space is giving form as a prefix. With this, we are ready to use Spring MVC form tag library in our JSP. We are ready to use Spring MVC form tags in our JSP. All of you comfortable with adding the tag lib directive? All of you comfortable with adding the tag lib directive? Why I am adding tag lib directive to my JSP? Why I am adding tag lib directive to my JSP? Guys, fast. Why we are adding tag lib directive to our JSP? To use the tags to develop the form. To use the tags to develop the form provided by Spring MVC. This is Spring MVC form tag library. This is Spring MVC form tag library. Those tags we need to use to develop our form. Very good. Let us start. Form. How to represent a form by using form tag library? Form : form. Form : form is the tag which will represent Spring MVC form. For this, we will take 3 attributes. One is action attribute. One is action attribute. Second one is method. What type of method? Third one, modal attribute. Third one is modal attribute. No need of commas, right? Yeah. So how many attributes I am taking for form tag? How many attributes I am taking for form tag? I am taking 3 attributes for the form tag. See here, let me remove it. Form : form. This is the tag to represent MVC form. This form is a prefix. This form is a tag. This form is a prefix. This form is a tag. We are representing a form, Spring MVC form, by using form : form tag. By using form : form tag. For this, we will write 3 attributes. What are those? First one is action. Second one is method. Third one is modal attribute. Third one is modal attribute. Action represents what should happen when you submit this form. To which method you need to send the request when you submit this form. When you submit this form. Got it? Right. Form : form, action, and method, and modal attribute. Action attribute is used to represent what should happen when this form is submitted. What should happen when this form is submitted? Method, what type of request we want to send. I want to send a post request for this form. When this form is submitted, I want to take a URL as save customer, or this is customer only. I have given the URL as customer only. Action is equal to customer. method is equal to post. So what is this action attribute represent? When this form is submitted, action is equal to customer, method is equal to post. Model attribute, for this model attribute we need to supply form binding object. For this model attribute we need to supply form binding object. Guys, are you able to follow me? What is this model attribute represents? Form binding object. Are we sending form binding object to the view? Yes, we are sending form binding object to the view. How? Key. Let's take this key. Access this key in the presentation by using dollar expression language of this key. Perfect. Model attribute is equal to dollar of customer. What does that mean? What does that mean? We are using form binding object. We are using form binding object. Are you able to follow this? I think we no need to specify this dollar of customer also. Directly we can specify key name. Directly we can specify key name. Model attribute is equal to key. What is this key? This key is stored into the model which is holding form binding object. Is there any data in the form binding object? There is no data in the form binding object, so it will display empty form. If there is the data in the object, then it will populate the data in the form. So this model attribute is holding a key. That key is holding value. The value is customer object without any data. Value is a customer object without any data. Are you guys clear with this? Are you guys clear with this? Are you guys clear with this? Good, good. Now let us develop a form. We know the fields to develop the form, right? Form tags also. Let me take a table for proper alignment. Table tr td. Good. Now I want 4 rows, 4 table rows. One is for customer name, one is for email, one is for phone number, one is for submit. So I'm taking a table with 4 rows and 2 columns. First one, customer name. Customer name. Second one, customer email. Customer email. Third one, customer phone number. Third one, customer phone number. Next one, submit button. Submit button. We can type the button, right? Input type is equal to submit. Input type is equal to submit. Value is equal to same customer. Value is equal to same customer. Now I need to write the form tags. All these are text fields or not? All these are text fields. All these are text fields. Now we are having 3 fields here. We are having 3 fields here. These 3 fields in the form should be binded to, these 3 fields in the form should be binded to binding object. These 3 fields should be binded to binding object. Got my point, sir? 3 fields should be binded to binding object. Binding object. These are form fields. These are form fields. This is binding class. This is form binding class. Form binding class. Above is the requirement and below is the form with binding class. Now what we need to do? We need to map it. We need to map it. How can we map it? Customer name will be binded to customer name field. Customer email ID field should be binded to customer email ID variable. Customer phone number should be binded to customer phone number field. This is form binding. Form binding. So when you do this form binding, then only form data can be stored to that binding class. Form data will be stored to binding class. Are you you able to follow me, sir? These are form fields and this is binding class. There should be a mapping between the field and variable. Then only field data will be stored to that variable. Then only field data should be stored to that variable. Got my point? Guys, are you able to understand how we are going to do the binding? Are you able to understand how we are going to do the binding? Every field should be binded to a variable in the binding class. Every field should be binded to a variable in the binding class. Right. How to bind it? Let's observe carefully. Let's observe carefully how to bind a field to variable in the binding class. How to bind a field to variable in the binding class. Good. Form. What is our tag to display a text field? Form colon input path. Path is the attribute. Path is the attribute which is used to bind the field to a variable. What is the variable name? Customer name. What is the field? Customer name. Text field should be binded to customer name variable. That we will represent by using path attribute. Path attribute should contain binding class variable name. Then only form binding is possible. Then only form binding is possible. Guys, remember, what is the purpose of a path attribute? Can you guys tell me what is the purpose of path attribute? First, quick, I want response. What is the purpose of path attribute? What is the purpose of a path attribute? Quick. What is the purpose of path attribute? Path attribute is used to bind the field to binding class variable. To bind the variable to field or field to variable, whatever you want, you can say that. To bind the field to variable, we are going to use this path attribute. We are going to use this path attribute. We are going to use path attribute to bind the field to variable. Now similarly, can you tell me for email? Form colon input path is equal to customer email. Path is equal to customer email. Next one, coming to phone number, what we need to specify? Form colon input path is equal to customer phone number. Path is equal to customer phone number. With this form binding we are able to do. We are able to complete the form binding using MVC form tag library. First, model attribute. Model attribute represents what is the binding class. What is the binding class? It is the key that we stored in the model. That key will get the value. That key will get the value. What is this path attribute? Path attribute is used to represent. Path attribute is used to represent which field should be binded to which variable. Can I give C name here? Can I give C name here? Or I should not give the C name? Can I give the C name for the path attribute, or I should not give the C name for the path attribute? I should not give it because in my binding class variable name is customer name. Let's take it and keep it here. Keep it here. Path is equal to customer name. This is the variable name. This is a variable name. This is a variable name available in the binding class. This is called form binding. Guys, look at this form. Look at that form and try to understand how I am able to do form binding. How I am able to do form binding. Got it, all of you? Good. Why post method? If I don't use post method, data will go in the URL. Form data will go in the URL. It is not secure, right? I don't want to display the form data in the URL. If I don't specify method is equal to post, by default it will make as a get request. Then form data will go in the URL. I don't want to send this form data in the URL. I don't want to send form data to the URL. I want to send in the request body. That's why I am taking post. That's why I am taking post here. Got it? Good. And the controller method is also binded to post request only. So the form should submit only post request. Then only this method can handle it. Before going to submit the form, first let us see, are we able to load this form or not? Are we able to load this form or not? All of you comfortable with this form now? What is model attribute? What is path attribute? Are you clear with that? Action attribute, method attribute, model attribute, path attribute. All of you clear with that? Good. Now, let us start our project, guys. Before that, we need to do some small configuration. Server port number. Server.port is equal to 9090. View resolver configuration. Spring.mvc.view.prefix is equal to /views. Spring.mvc.view.suffix is equal to .jsp. Prefix is views, suffix is .jsp. Good. Now controller method binded to /customer. It is a get request. Good. Let us start our project. Run as boot app. Run as boot app. Console. Application started. Let's access that, guys. Localhost colon 9090/customer. Get request method. It should load the form for us. Good. Form is loaded. Customer name, customer email, customer phone number. Our form is loaded. Form is loaded. Now, customer details. Let me add a header. Customer details. Go refresh it. Yep. Customer details. Now I will enter the details and I will save that customer. Then what should happen? What is our requirement? Form data should be displayed. Form data should be displayed in the data.jsp. Form data should be displayed in data.jsp. Form data should be displayed in data.jsp. Able to follow this, guys? Data should be displayed in the data.jsp. Now already we have given action for that, method for that, model attribute for that. Now we should write the logic in that method. I want to capture form data. How? By using customer object. I want customer object, comma, model. Why I am taking two parameters of this method? Why I am taking two parameters for this method, guys? Can anyone tell me why I am taking two parameters for this method? Why I am taking two parameters for this method? Come on, fast. One is for capturing the form data. Another one is sending the data to the JSP. One is from receiving the data from UI to controller. Another one is to send the data from controller to UI. Model for display. First attribute is for capturing the data. Need to capture the data from one page and send the data to another page. From index JSP, we are capturing this data. To the data JSP, we are sending the data. We are sending the data. Good. Right. Modal dot add attribute. What I will do? Customer object. Customer object. I will send that by using customer. I will send that by using customer. Is it clear for all of you? Capturing the data from one form and sending the data to another form. Right guys, here we have a method that is binded to post request. We have a method that is binded to post request, post mapping slash customer. Handle submit button. I'm taking customer object as a parameter and I'm having a modal also. Modal dot add attribute. Whatever the data I got, I'm sending back to the data file. I'm sending the data back to the data file. Now, can I send one object to the UI and can I display object data in the UI, guys? Did we try it already or not? Can I send one object to the UI and can I display object data in the UI? Got it? Yep. Right. Fine. Go to views and create one file with a name called data.jsp. File name data.jsp. Create the JSP file in the views. New other JSP file that I will create it as data.jsp. Inside this, can I print the data? Can I print the data? Right now I will take a table and I will print it. I will take a table and I will print it. Now I don't have tags to display now. I just need to print the data. I just need to print the data. Can you guys tell me how can I print it now? Can you guys tell me how can I print it now? How can I capture the data from the object in the JSP? How can I capture the data from the object in the JSP? Key dot variable name. Key dot property name. Key dot property name. What is our key? What is our key here? Key is customer object. Right? Key is customer object. Now dollar of customer object dot customer name. Fine. Similarly, key for the customer email, we need to write it. Dollar of customer object dot customer email. Next one, dollar of customer object dot customer phone number. Dollar of customer object dot customer phone number. So with this, we are able to access object data with the help of property names. Object data with the help of property names. Good. We need one hyperlink to go back to the previous page, right? Yeah. A href is equal to customer. A href is equal to customer. Go back. It is binded to get request. By default, hyperlink will send a get request to the customer URL. Here we have a method which is binded to the customer URL. Then this method will be called. It will load the form with the binding object. Load the form with binding object. Now, let us start our application. Let us start our application. Good. Right click, run as boot app. Right click, run as boot app. Run as boot app. Good. Load this form. Form is loaded. Now add the details, customer name. Good. Save customer. Customer details are added and we are able to display it. Go back first page is loaded. Guys, are you able to understand? Are you able to understand how we are able to submit the form? Good. Now save customer. We are able to display the details in the form. Go back. We are able to go for previous page as well. So with this, we are able to develop. We are able to display. We are able to display the form by using form tag library. We are able to display the form using form tag library. All of you comfortable with this? Good. I will give you this class example. I'm giving the example of this customer controller, and I will give you index.jsp. I will give index.jsp and I will give data.jsp also. I want all of you to try this form example. Tomorrow will be, in the tomorrow session, we are going to develop a complex form with a drop-down checkbox and radio buttons. In the tomorrow session, we are going to develop a complex form with drop-downs, checkboxes, and radio buttons. So today's class example code I have given in this notepad file. I will upload this in the Google Classroom. I want all of you to practice this program before coming to tomorrow's class. If you don't practice tomorrow's class, you can't understand. Good. Thank you guys. Please practice this and come back for tomorrow's class. We'll continue tomorrow.